Can Amazon handle the season pass model? Early evidence is sort of suggesting no, so we're going to talk about the recent delays, and then in the long term, will Amazon AGS actually be able to manage this going forward? So in the short term, we got this was 3 days ago, basically just before the drop on the 28th. They pushed back the leaderboards and they pushed back the update to March 30th. Then on Thursday, they delayed it again here to March 31st. And then just this morning or last night, whenever you want to call it, they pushed it back to Sunday. Now I have a couple of issues with this whole thing. Number one, the main thing is that they are delaying and pushing back the leaderboard ending. Now personally, I'm not a leaderboard player, but I think we can all see how it's probably unfair for the people who are doing the leaderboard to have been doing that for effectively 3 months, and then they're getting extra days added to it, and then it keeps getting pushed back. That's going to be frustrating for those players. Honestly, somehow they need to make it so that they can just stop that when they say they stop it, and then not start the season for a couple of days or what have you, right? Because that I think is really, really harsh and unfair. However, I do think leaderboards are an actual net loss for New World, and they should possibly look at changing them in a dramatic way some point, right? I don't know exactly what, but I don't really like them full stop. I think it's rewarding, not necessarily toxic behavior, but it's rewarding toxic gameplay, maybe. But some players do enjoy them, so maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, that's not really the conversation for this video. Now, there is one thing I want to point out here, and that is in the future seasons, we will be able to ensure the seasonal leaderboard period will always end on time. Hashtag big doubt. I don't know, maybe they're going to change the systems or what have you, but this seems really unlikely to me right now, seeing what we've seen. Now, what they would have been better is not telling us when the next expected date would have been. However, they sort of have to tell us that because of the leaderboards. Because the leaderboards are ended when the season ends and when the next season starts, you then sort of have to tell us the date. Like, we're going to know the season 2 date when season 1 goes live. So yet again, the leaderboards are causing problems for them. And the next thing before we start talking about the bigger picture is the new tentative date for the seasonal leaderboards will be Sunday, April 2nd. I'm going to assume that they avoided April 1st for obvious reasons, but Sunday would be such a weird time to do it. Are these guys literally crunching to get this seasonal model out? They're actually working weekends to do this. It's probably like crunch time. I don't know, I'm a little bit uncomfortable with that happening for a seasonal patch. Personally, I think they could have just said the Tuesday, whatever day that would be. The 4th, I think, and let us just go with that. What they possibly should have done in that first delay, they should have just said, okay, we're extending it by a week, and then if they weren't ready then, extend it by another week. Giving all these little dates, extra date here, extra day there, really weird, and trying to release a patch on the weekend, I can't really see this one happening either, because if they release it on the Sunday, that means everybody's going to have to work on Sunday in case there's any like issues. I don't know, just make it Tuesday at this point. So that's the short term. We've had quite a few delays. The delays, by the way, are fine. It's okay to delay a product if it's not good enough, right? I don't think anybody's really that annoyed by that. The leaderboards being pushed back, that just screams as being like unfair for those players. And their voices part's going to be a little bit weird. They're going to be a vocal minority, but it's still a minority that probably should be heard here. But this does beg the question, what are we going to expect in the long term? Can Amazon actually handle this season pass model? Early indications obviously suggest maybe not. However, I think they possibly can. I think that these delays are just a temporary blip. Granted, these blips might happen a little bit too often, let's face it. Quite often we see a big patch with New World get delayed by a week or so. I would like to see that stop happening. Obviously, they should delay it if there's a big issue, but let's try and make it so that there aren't any big issues that you're trying to fix at the last minute. That would be the better outcome. I think everybody agrees with that. But the main reason that I think they can actually handle this is that I don't think the season content is actually that much content. Now that sounds a little bit harsh, right? And I don't mean it to, because I like what we're getting. I just think we're not getting like a patch that's completely full to the brim. Nor is it designed to, right? The content here is actually free. It's only really the seasonal premium pass that you have to pay for. The new story is free. Gear set storages are sort of free. It's 2 for free and then you have to pay for the rest. The new expedition's free. The new heart rune's free. The new seasonal events are all going to be free. Obviously the changes to like AoEs and stuff like that, that's just part and part of the game, so that's all stuff is free. Like there's a lot of stuff in there that is just given to you because you own the game. However, that's not to say that that's a lot of content. Really, it's a new expedition, a story that lasts 2 hours, and really that's the bulk of the content. Obviously you have the season pass, but the season pass is basically doing more of the same of what you were already doing, but getting rewarded for it. So yes, I think they actually can handle that. Season 2 looks interesting as well, you've got to say. 2 raids effectively with the seasonal trial and the sandworm, transmog and a further story continuation. Yeah, I think the season 2 is going to be pretty good as well. So personally what I'm saying here is I don't think they're necessarily overcommitting. They said a while back that they were going to go to this system where there was less patches but bigger content, and I do think this seasonal model is going to allow them to do that. Now that's on a holistic level, right? The problem in the short term is these optics where if you keep delaying something, it just starts feeling really, really bad. I always thought with Amazon that the marketing / PR, whatever they're doing, just sort of feels a little bit awkward at times. Yes, I think they do a great job on Twitch and all that kind of good stuff, but when it comes to the communication of like delays and stuff like that, it just feels like they don't necessarily think it fully through. And I don't mean to be like super harsh, so I'm sorry if you guys actually work for Amazon and you're like, that's not true, Jay. But here, this is a perfect example where I think they could have just delayed it 1 week, said, okay, there's an issue this week, we think it's going to try and be next week, we'll let you know when we know. Give themselves more time to get it right, rather than be pushed close to the edge every single day, and they're stressing every single day, and they're like, oh well, we've got to say it's going to be delayed next day, oh no, it's the next day after that. Like, I think that is just a little bit awkward for the developers basically. Now it's a little bit worse right now because New World's play numbers are on the decline, right? They're not going up and up, they're going down and down a little bit slowly, right? But that makes sense because we've not had any content for 6 months. Hopefully the season pass starts changing that, but I really think we'll start seeing big differences in summer personally. But my point here is that because the feeling is starting to turn a little bit on Amazon, you can sort of feel a lot of negativity about the delay. People are calling this delay unacceptable, but really it's not the delay itself that I find really problematic, it's the fact that they keep pushing the leaderboard, because you're actually affecting people's lives basically. There's some people out there who've been grinding Outpost Rush for like 3 months. They don't want to be doing it for an extra couple of days that they didn't expect. So they're causing frustration one way or another. They're causing frustration in the player base who just want to play new content. But I think most people, most sensible people can be like, okay, we understand delays are part and parcel. It's not great, but we accept it. But then they're causing frustration for whatever amount of percentage of players we think it is, for those players who are trying to do the quarterly or seasonal leaderboards. They will be getting so salty, and completely understandably so. I think they would have got a little bit less salty if they said the patch is going to be 1 week. But the fact that you keep sort of teasing them and then changing it is a little bit frustrating. Ultimately, I think that they can do these seasonal models. I don't know how or what they're going to have to do to resolve this, but they need to make it so that their communication actually holds true. I love getting dates, by the way. I remember a time where we weren't getting dates for patches, they were just dropping. I much prefer having a date that gets delayed than having no date at all, and I hope they keep that up. The lesson to take away is not to not give us dates. The lesson to take away is they need to change something internally so that they hit the dates, however that might be achieved. So yes, I think they can hit the seasonal model if they don't overcommit per 3 months. For them, I think it's going to change into this sort of like balancing act right now. They're going to have to put enough people on the seasonal content so that people actually engage and they play it and they want to play every season, every 3 months, etc. And then they're probably going to have a second team who are working on the expansion, who are doing the further afield content. But in the short term, they need to sort of change the optics, and the way that they do that is the way that they communicate with us and the decisions they made. They probably should have closed the leaderboard when they said they would close the leaderboard, and then they should have said the next seasonal one will update or go live when the patch goes live. That's the main change they need to take away for a public perception kind of thing. But internally, they need to try and make sure that they hit the dates that they say. One way or another, I realize that's way easier said than done, right? Like, I work in a business. Businesses struggle to hit deadlines all the time. It's nothing crazy. And we'd all prefer it to be working when it comes out rather than have an exploit or bug that completely ruins the game, right? So let's give them a little bit of leeway there, but let's push back on this leaderboard change. It is a little bit unfair. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I have been streaming a lot more on Twitch. I'm not going to be able to stream that much this weekend simply because it's my daughter's 3rd birthday, but I will be streaming a lot next weekend, and I mean like a lot. So come and check me out. Make sure you like and you go and follow me over there. There'll be a link in the description. What you should definitely do though is have a most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.